dear friends. My name is Maria, and I am holistic health and feminine energy coach. But the topic of today's video is going to be different. And if this video reached you, my heart goes out to you. And I remember myself in 2021 when I lost my husband and the father of our kids, and it was the most difficult time of my life. A friend reached out to me several days ago, and she said that the father of her son passed away, and her son is going through a very difficult time now, and she doesn't know what to do. She also has some thoughts of guilt and things that she thinks that she should have done differently with him, and she asked me for my advice, and I promised her that I will sit down, take some notes, and record the video and just share how things were for us and maybe guide her to do certain things to help her son get through this difficult time. And a lot of times we look at death as something bad, like the end of something, like a lot of times as like a punishment for something. And I want you to look at death today from a different point, from more of a spiritual side. And when a person that leaves this world leaves, when he goes back home, he or she, it's not the end for the soul, it's just the end of a chapter. And if that will help us to look at this whole experience as a play in the theater, and for example, there is a play, we're all sitting as an audience and we're watching this episode of life story, and there is struggle, there is hatred, there is oppression, there is love, and there is forgiveness. And when we watch this play, we feel the emotions, we see the struggle, we see the evil, we see the bad, we see the good. And at the end of the play, when the actors leave, they go behind the stage and they take their masks off, and they congratulate each other for a good performance. And the one that was just hateful suddenly is congratulating the other one that he was just hating. So if we could look at life from the same side, about the same thing happens at the end of our physical life. And when the person leaves, they don't take pain with them, they don't take hate with them, they don't take regrets with them. It's us who stay here, and it's us who think different things, and us who are given this pain, and us who are going through this difficult time. So it's our responsibility, especially when we have kids, is to help them get through this time. And also, of course, very important for us to be able to give, to get our grief, to feel our pain, and to find meaning and support. So if we look at this from this side, from the spiritual side, we know that the person isn't mad at us for any reason. He or she does not think that we should have done something different. And a lot of times when, especially for us women, we have this feeling that, a feeling of guilt that we didn't do something. It's our fault. We didn't hear our intuition. We should have done something different, should have done something else to prevent this. And this thought will really make it hard for us. That will not ever give us peace. So it's important to understand that we are not God. You are not God. And as unfair as it might sound, that was that person's destiny. And for whatever reason, that was his path. And that is something that that person was destined to. So when that happens, when we look at it from this side, it might help us understand that it's us who get the challenges. It's us who is going through this pain and difficult times, and we are the ones who need to help ourselves to go through this time. And just understanding that it already happened and nothing can change that. So we need to accept the fact that it happened. And I want you to know that God doesn't want you to feel suffering, like doesn't want you to feel the difficult times and to go through them. And it's not like it was your fault or it was a punishment for something, to like a lesson to punish, not a lesson to teach. And when we look at it from a point of view that this happened for something, as a punishment against us, that thought is just an illusion. It's a fantasy and it's not true, because God gave you life. You are still alive, and that means that God has a different path for you. So when we realize that God has a full picture, and maybe whatever's happening to us is a needed path for us to look at our life and understand, are we living our life? Are we following our dreams? Are we true to ourselves? Where we might be betraying ourselves. And maybe that's a way for us to understand that something needs to change. And someone wise said that a wound is a place through which light enters our life. So we need to let the light enter our life. And the way we feel the pain, the depth of our feelings and emotions that we can feel, that is actually very meaningful, because that just means that we lost a very significant other. And if we can feel these deep feelings and emotions, it gives more value, more meaning to our life, because our life, at the end of our chapter, it will have as much meaning as we had feelings, both joyful and sad. So if we can feel these feelings, we need to understand that we need to allow ourselves to feel. And we need to feel the pain. Grieve as much as we need. Cry as much as we need. And especially for kids, especially for boys, I have 2 boys, when we realize that kids might have heard something like, oh, don't cry, you're crying like a girl, or you're crying like a baby, and that makes boys feel like they should not be crying. So you need to let them know that crying is good, and everyone needs to cry, and crying helps move the emotion through the body without like shoving it down, because it's so important, so important, and for you and for our kids, not to shove the emotions down, not to close, because when we cry, we let it out. And the more we do, the easier it will be for us to pass the emotion through our body. So remember, for me, I said, let's cry. let's cry together. I wasn't hiding my tears. I actually wanted them to see that I'm crying so they know it's normal. And I said that. I said, it's very normal. Crying is good. It's very difficult. It's very devastating what we're going through, but we have to get through this. And God gave this to us to become stronger and to understand that we can do it, to have this belief and to give it to our children. And allowing yourself to grieve, very, very important. And I must admit that I am not familiar with the stages of grief, but I remembered that I thought at that time that I always allow myself to feel everything that I feel. And if it's anger, if it's despair, if it's fog, anything, I thought I will allow myself to feel anything I feel and cry as much as I need to. So just the main thing here is to differentiate between pain and suffering. And there are several ways you can look at what you feel and understand if you feeling pain or if you are causing this suffering. And you know that you are suffering when you begin to blame yourself or others, and that gives you very dark feelings. It torments you. It does not give you the emotions of that it already happened. Another reason, another way to look and to understand if you're suffering or not, if something that gave you joy, used to give you joy, and it does not give you joy anymore. Another way to look and understand if you're suffering or not is when you begin to resist what happened, and when you start thinking that it shouldn't have happened. And when you know that you are suffering, if you make a decision that you will never be happy again, that you will never be able to laugh, that you will never be in love again, and that you will never feel joy again. So these are the things that I want you to be aware that if you feel that means that you are suffering. And I want you to know that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. So we need to understand where the borderline is and take charge here, because our kids are watching us, and the way we handle this struggle, the way we handle this pain, it what gives them an example of how they should do it. And when they know that they can, that's how they will handle difficult times in their life from now on. So very, very important things to understand, that kids are watching us and they're sensing our energy. And a lot of times when we don't have energy, we don't have the inner resource to do anything. And that happened for a while with me. That fog and unacceptance, that devastation, the fear that I had. I remember that I tried to not to be angry with God, and because I know from my whole life that God loves me so much, and if something like that happened, if He was taken from us, if He was too young to die, that God gives us only what we can handle. And that was a way for me to realize where do I need to take a different path, where do I need to look at myself and see where I might be losing myself or not following my dreams, not following my desires, and surviving this difficult time and becoming stronger. So another thing I wanted to mention is a lot of times we think that the person who left would be very upset at us if we start looking into building a new chapter in our life. That if we want to become happy again, for some reason, a lot of times we think that this person would be upset, that person would be thinking it was unfair, the person would be thinking that it is some kind of betrayal, that we were happy together and now she is happy with someone else. So I want you to know that this is just a fantasy as well. God wants us all to be happy, and when the person leaves, when the person reconnects with God, we know that there is only love on the other side. There are no expectations, there are no lost hopes, there is nothing like that. There is only love, and the person's looking at us with love and upliftment. So just so you know, this is how it is, and it's not that you should have done something different, and it's not that you could have changed something. It's not that you will never be happy again. There is a light at the end of this tunnel, I promise you. So about the kids, when we watch a documentary or when we see someone's success story, and there is a person who is talking about difficult times, struggles, tragedy, loss of a parent when he or she was a child, and we understand that this person went through so much in his or her life, and that's what shaped him, that's what made him the person he is. We see that he overcame all these struggles and all these difficult times, and what kind of feelings do we feel when we watch a person like that? We feel probably respect, probably some admiration. So that is what we should feel for our children's path here. So when we understand that these difficult times, the tragedy, the loss of a parent that they will never have again, we need to understand that they will survive it, and that will make them stronger, that will make them people who will survive the difficult times. And the way they handle things right now is the way they will handle difficult times in the future. So our task as parents is to give them love and support, to give them understanding that they are not victim, that they can become the author of their life, the captain of their ship. And it's so important to let them know that you are there for them, that you are also feeling these feelings, but give them an understanding that everything's going to be okay, that everything will happen when, in the best possible time, when they are ready to move through. And when we feel pity for them, when we feel pity for ourselves, when we think things like poor me or poor them, on how they're gonna do this, we weaken them and we weaken ourselves. So I want you to catch yourself in the moments when you do that, and understand that what you can do is show maybe a little bit more love and affection to your children, because they need it right now, and give them confidence, give them way to understand that it's going to be okay, because God is there for them. and God would not give us troubles that we cannot handle. So that just gives us an understanding that we will be able to go through this, and it's all going to be okay, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I guess that's all for today. Let's see if there is anything else I wanted to say. I think I already mentioned it all, but if you have anything else to add in the comments of how you went through this path, and maybe some things that you did that helped you and your child to go through these difficult times, so that it could be an inspiration and help for all the rest of us who are still struggling. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but that's where we are, and we will get through this. We will never forget them, but we will get through this. So that's all for today, and please leave some comments. I hope that maybe you got some insights from this video, and definitely hoping that for my friend. If you have any questions or anything else you want to say, please leave some comments, and I will see you soon.